Welcome back, everyone. In today's video I get to review a blaster I didn't know existed until I was putting the purchase link in the bottom of my D-Dart Tempest video, and I saw this sitting next to the Tempest. Yeah, this is the D-Dart Blizzard. And if you saw my Tempest video, which if you didn't, please go watch it. If you saw it, you'll know that the biggest drawback of the Tempest was that it didn't have enough darts. And this one is going from 27 to 76. So let's get into it. Alright, the Blizzard is unboxed, and it includes the Blizzard, 76 darts, and instructions. Let's get to the overview of this blaster. Now, you may be able to tell, but the Blizzard, is just a big version of the Tempest, without all of these 24 dart magazines mounted around the outside. I'm pretty sure it would just be a Tempest, with the biggest difference being on the inside they added a palm safety. Don't quite, I guess I do know why they did that. Since the trigger is more of a button than a trigger, they added that extra safety so that you're not just misfiring when using it. The weight difference, even without the batteries and the darts installed in the Blizzard, is significant. It's at least double the weight of the Tempest, if not triple. Other than that, it looks like the exact same blaster. They both run off of the 4 AAAs, which are in the grip area. Flywheel, fully automatic, but instead of 27 rounds, it's 76. Now they are saying 76 because it's 4 rounds per magazine, and one of them is this start magazine. But it looks just like all of the other mags, and I don't know why you couldn't fill it up and use them too. That would be the 20th magazine, and it only came with 76 darts, so I'm going to have to grab 4 extra darts and make this 80. But I think it'll fire out of the starting one. We'll see. We'll see in my testing. I'm not quite sure yet. Alright, let's put batteries in this thing. Just like with the Tempest, they're inside of the grip, and you need to pull this little black plastic tab to expose the 4 battery slots. Now the batteries are installed, let's see if it will rev up. Sure does. Just like the Tempest, the Blizzard has an on-off switch on the front, which if you watched my Tempest video, that is my biggest complaint with this blaster, is that you have to physically turn it on before you're able to shoot it, and it just sits there revving, instead of having a momentary switch on a second trigger where you can pre-rev and fire all with one hand. You have to reach up and... If you're trying to do it one-handed, it's very hard. So you have to reach up and flip that switch with your offhand, most likely. To load up the Blizzard, it has the same rotating mechanism on the back that the Tempest did. You spin the switch to lock back the ratcheting lock, and now you can free spool all of these magazines. And to remove the magazines, I found it's the easiest to press forward slightly and then pull up. And you remove them just like that. They're finally loaded up, all 20 magazines with 4 darts. I'm saying 20 because I'm considering the start magazine a usable magazine at this point. I still don't know, we'll see. I put 4 of the Go Stops elite darts in here, just because I thought it would look cool, putting the white in the blue. But here they are, all loaded up. That took forever. That was not fun, but hopefully it's worth it. So now, I will load these all onto the blaster. Going ahead and taking a look at the blaster unloaded, all of the different magazine chambers are exactly the same, so I don't know where they want you to put the start magazine. I guess it doesn't really matter, but that just goes to prove even more that it's probably a completely functional magazine. Interesting. Alright, let's load this up. That's all 80 darts loaded up in here. The 76 it came with, and 4 regular elite darts in the start container. Or in the start magazine. I apologize. I don't see you doing any tactical reloads with this in the field. It's quite silly actually looking at it now. Look at all those darts. And this is quite heavy now. It's no longer the Tempest small, easily maneuverable. It wants to move around while it's on your arm, and it takes some weight. So running 2 of these might not be possible for everyone if you end up with 2. But now that it's all loaded, next thing to do is test it. So let's go shoot it. D-Dart Blizzard with the included darts. Let's see how it goes. Oh, that's silly. Well, that's it firing. If you watch the Tempest video, you can probably tell it shoots exactly the same as the Tempest. The only difference is this carries so many more darts. The Tempest averaged 55 FPS on my chronograph, where the Blizzard here averaged 56, so they're pretty much the exact same blaster, only difference being capacity. I did time myself on fully reloading the Blizzard because it takes forever. From taking the empty mags off, to loading them, to putting them back on, it took me 5 minutes and 11 seconds to fully reload this blaster. And that's in perfect conditions, with me sitting down with a pile of darts in front of me and focusing on nothing else. Over 5 minutes to reload this blaster. Now, I'm sure I could get that time lower, but that is just how long it took me to reload this thing after shooting. That's absurdly long. You could not feasibly reload the Blizzard in any sort of battlefield or play situation. It just takes way too long, and you're not going to be able to get to sit in one spot and just load darts while actually playing. The start magazine did actually function completely fine. The only thing I found was if you load a magazine directly in front of the flywheels at the dead center top, it wants to push out and jam instead of shooting that one as it rotates to shoot the first dart. But I found if you load it while it's kind of halfway in between 2 of the magazines, it'll shoot just fine, and that's what I've been doing for my testing purposes. So, 76 darts, actually 80 darts if you use the start magazine. So let's talk about my opinion of the Blizzard. Performance, it's a Tempest with a lot of extra shots. Performance isn't great out of the box. It's more of a novelty blaster than anything. But the biggest drawback being that on-off switch on the front to get it to going, it really just kills it at any sort of competitive or any stealthy at all play. but it is still super fun. It is harder to move around than the Tempest, and rotating it gets all the magazines to shift a little bit in your hand, but it's still pretty cool. And with this capacity, I think if it was better performing, you could feasibly run 1 or 2 of these as a primary in a game. Having 160 darts, we shouldn't really have to worry about reloading throughout a normal length game. Now, people out there, you're probably thinking, when's this guy gonna modify it to make it perform like he did with the Tempest? And I have this to say to all you people. Right now, I'm doing that right now because I want this thing to fling all 80 of these darts so fast, it's ridiculous. So I'm gonna just cut to that and I'm gonna mod this thing up. I'm back and the Blizzard is modified now. If you watch my Tempest video, you'll know exactly what I did to this guy. And what I did was I removed the 4 AAA battery pack and soldered in a battery lead for my LiPos. Then I used a rasp to cut out a notch in the side of the battery cover so that my battery leads can stick out and I can attach the battery to the inside of the drum here where it's up and out of the way. I do have to say one thing I found out while modifying this. The palm safety on the inside of the grip is not for the trigger, it's actually for the on-off switch. So they kind of fixed the fact that they don't have a secondary flywheel trigger, but now when you turn it on, it will not rev up until you grip the blaster, then it starts to rev up. But with the weight behind this, and if you're firmly holding it, there's no real way to not have that palm safety depressed when you're carrying it, so it's pretty much exactly like the normal on-off switch. So I think they tried to fix the problem, but they didn't. It still would have been better to have a secondary trigger under the main one so that you could still grip the blaster without it revving up. Now that it's all modded up, let's go out and see how it shoots. Blizzard with the 7.4 LiPo. That was the Blizzard on the 2-cell 7.4 LiPo. It shot significantly better and the rate of fire was much higher, which really kind of showed us what this blaster is actually capable of. It increased the velocity to 69, nice, feet per second. That's a pretty good increase over stock 56 to 69, pretty good, but it's not quite as high as the FPS that the Tempest got with the same 7.4 LiPo. And that might be because of all the extra weight of all the magazines on this drum. It might take a little bit more energy to spin that, and so that's kind of detracting from FPS. Not quite sure. But it isn't quite as high, but it's only 3 FPS off. Not too bad. Was this mod worth it? I think so. It definitely livened up the Blizzard, and this is probably how I would run the Blizzard if I was going to run it. Now, it would be quite fun to run 2 of these as primaries, because then you'd have 160 shots, and at that rate of fire and velocity, you're going to be pretty competitive against other similarly FPS blasters, and you're not going to want to reload, and you're just going to look cool and probably have a bunch of fun. Now, I know what all of you want. You want to see what the 11.1 does to it, so without further ado, let's go shoot it with the 11.1. Blizzard with 11.1 LiPo. We're gonna see if this thing can handle it. It might blow up. or it'll work fine. Blizzard with 11.1 LiPo. That was the 11.1 LiPo. It's silly. It's silly fun, and like with the Tempest, the internal wiring on the Blizzard is so small that I was very nervous going into this test because I thought the wires would just melt with all of the sustained fire of the 80 darts, but it seems like they did fine. I didn't smell any burning or anything like that, and it held up completely fine through all of my testing with the 11.1. Would I continue to use the 11.1? Yeah, probably, just because it's silly. But I know it'll probably destroy my blaster, but oh well, it could be worth it, we'll see. The FPS that I measured with the 11.1 LiPo was 78, which is significantly lower than the Tempest on the 11.1. It was at 96 FPS, so I don't know quite what happened there, but I will say it is nearly impossible to chrono this on the 11.1 because every click of the trigger fires 4 or 5 darts, and it just makes it a lot more difficult to get a good accurate chrono reading, but I tried my best and got that 78, which is still better than most Elite rifles. It's above the 70 par of Nerf Elite, and it makes it quite functional, increases the range a little bit, and increases that rate of fire, which is the main thing when you're using something like this. And as you saw, the rate of fire it's great with this little guy, and it goes through those 80 rounds very quick. Overall, very satisfied. Now for my final opinion on the Blizzard. It's utterly silly more than anything else. The Tempest was also silly, but I had to play with it just because of what it is, and the Blizzard just takes that up to the next level. It almost triples the ammo capacity of the Tempest, and I mean, just look at it. It is absurd. Is it practical? No, it's too big for a secondary for sure, and for a primary, reloading taking 5 minutes, it's not going to be super practical, even though you do have 80 darts. But it is also quite heavy, and it wears your arm out over extended use, compared to the Tempest for sure. But I can't recommend it for anyone competitive, especially it coming out of the box. It just doesn't have the performance. But if you want something completely silly, just to run around with and have some fun, and you want to try modding, this is a very easy mod, and you get some pretty good results out of it, and it's a whole bucket of smiles. This thing is it's just ridiculous, and that's exactly what I wanted out of this blaster, so I'm happy I bought it, but I know it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that is up to your own discretion on if this is something you actually want or not. You've seen how it performs, so you make your own decision. This guy's retailing right now for around $50, which is double what the Tempest cost, but almost triple the ammo. So would I go 2 Tempests or 1 Blizzard? I don't know. That's up to you to decide on your own. I'm not quite sure what I would do. Running 2 Blizzards might be pretty fun to try out in a game though. I don't know. Maybe in the future. That's going to end this video, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you liked the things I did to the Blizzard here, and hope you got enough information to whether you would want to spend your money on one or not. If you would like to see any more videos like this, let me know, and if you'd like to see different videos than this, also let me know that as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, I'm Travis, and I'll see you next time.